Here we go. Good to have you with us. Thursday edition, Ed Schultz News and Commentary. Lots going on here in Washington, D.C., no doubt about that. Communication Workers of America, Alliance for American Manufacturing, BioGreen Clean, and the iSafe team bring you this production. Okay. President Obama has endorsed Hillary Clinton. It's official, and it was done on her Twitter account, which was rather unusual, but it's pretty clear that this has been pretty well orchestrated. The president met with Bernie Sanders today. We were told that it was a very cordial meeting, very professional, very respectful. And it's pretty clear what's happening here. The Democrats are giving Bernie Sanders all the room he wants in the coming weeks to do what he has to do. Now, after the meeting, Sanders came out and made about a 5-minute statement. I want to play the whole thing for you here because I think it's very important. And after the meeting is when the announcement came that President Obama fully endorsed Hillary Clinton. It was really a resounding endorsement. Very complimentary, spoke to her character, spoke to her tenacity and all of her experience, and flat out said that there's no one that's ever been more qualified to be president of the United States. I think one of the reasons why they're giving Sanders so much room is because of who they're playing. The competition's pretty weak. The Republicans have got some serious problems with Donald Trump. They just can't get on the same page. He's flippant. They don't know what the plan is. His own people call him Jekyll and Hyde. And they're in disarray, and they're mopping up a lot of stuff. So they have some room here to turn to the general election. So it's okay to give Bernie Sanders as much room as he wants. Sanders made this statement after his meeting with President Obama.
Sure. Let me begin by thanking President Obama and thanking Vice President Biden for the degree of impartiality they established during the course of this entire process. What they said in the beginning is that they would not put their thumb on the scales, and in fact they kept their word, and I appreciate that very, very much. Our campaign has been about building a movement which brings working people and young people into the political process to create a government which represents all of us and not just a handful of wealthy campaign contributors. We will continue doing everything that we can to oppose the drift which currently exists toward an oligarchic form of society where a handful of billionaires exercise enormous power over our political, economic, and media life. This is the wealthiest nation in the history of the world. We should not be having millions of senior citizens and disabled veterans struggling to put food on the table because of inadequate Social Security benefits. We should not have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country on earth. We should not be having Americans in inner cities, in rural communities, on Native American reservations who have life expectancies lower than many people in third world countries. We should not be having many of our young people leaving college deeply in debt. We should not be having in this great country an infrastructure which is crumbling when we have millions of workers prepared to rebuild that infrastructure. And in the midst of all of that, we should not be having a situation where Wall Street, corporate America, and billionaires are failing to pay their fair share of taxes. These are some of the issues that many millions of Americans have supported during my campaign. These are the issues that we will take to the Democratic National Convention in Philadelphia at the end of July. Donald Trump would clearly, to my mind, and I think the majority of Americans, be a disaster as President of the United States. It is unbelievable to me, and I say this in all sincerity, that the Republican Party would have a candidate for president who in the year 2016 makes bigotry and discrimination the cornerstone of his campaign. In my view, the American people will not vote for or tolerate a candidate who insults Mexicans and Latinos, who insults Muslims, who insults African Americans and women. Needless to say, I am going to do everything in my power, and I will work as hard as I can to make sure that Donald Trump does not become president of the United States. I will, of course, be competing in the D.C. primary, which will be held next Tuesday. This is the last primary of the Democratic nominating process. The major point that I will be making to the citizens of the District of Columbia is that I am strongly in favor of D.C. statehood. The state of Vermont, which I represent, has about the same number of residents that Washington, D.C. has, except we have 2 United States Senators and 1 congressman with full rights, while D.C. does not. That does not make any sense. Also, I look forward to the full counting of the votes in California, which I suspect will show a much closer vote than the current vote tally. I spoke briefly to Secretary Clinton on Tuesday night, and I congratulated her on her very strong campaign. I look forward to meeting with her in the near future to see how we can work together to defeat Donald Trump and to create a government which represents all of us and not just the 1%. Thank you very much.
So do you expect that fund to be out
Pretty clear what Senator Sanders is up to. It's about the movement. It's not about him. It's about the campaign and the statement and the issues that have to be addressed by the Democratic Party. I'm sure Senator Sanders is going to gather his people and get everybody behind Hillary Clinton. It seems like it's certainly headed that way, but it's going to be on his schedule, and apparently the Democrats have no problem with that. A very important meeting on Capitol Hill with Senate Minority Leader Harry Reid, with Senator Sanders and Chuck Schumer and the Vice President. All pretty much uneventful, but I think they're all getting on the same page and showing a great deal of respect to the senator. Communication Workers of America, Alliance for American Manufacturing, BioGreen Clean, and the iSave team bring you Ed Schultz news and commentary. We're back tomorrow.